to the Nerdentials podcast, starring your hosts, Joe Tweedy, Matthew Johnson, Nick Thomas, and Lynn Dudgeon. Welcome to Nerdentials, your weekly dose of the nerdy essentials covering film, TV, video games, and comic books. I'm your host, Joe Tweeden, and joining me in the Nerd Cave this evening is my cohorts, the Nick Thomas.
Hey guys, how you doing? And with this holiday season, I have a question for you.
Oh, right off the bat, go ahead.
What does Jeffrey Epstein and Christmas lights have in common?
Do tell.
They don't hang themselves.
Oh, so early in the cast. Wow. Thank you for that, Nicholas. And we lost our other co-host. He kind of... Oh, there he is. Okay.
He enjoyed that too much.
Also joining us this evening is the Lynn Dudgeon.
Heyo!
What's up, my dude?
Not much. As always, I'm here. Heyo!
Did you enjoy Nick's entry this episode?
Hey, I don't know. I might have to make some weird investigation and get a vote on it. And
you know,
just don't investigate too deeply.
Let's watch it. Whoa.
Whoa. You know what? Guys, it has been a minute since the three of us have been together, but a couple weeks at least. Our dearly departed Matthew Johnson, sorry, he's still with us, but he's dealing with... he is with family this weekend, so he is not joining us on this episode. So we wish him the best, and hopefully we will see him in the next episode. But guys, welcome to Nerdentials Podcast, episode 75. Like I teased last week, Lynn, pardon the technical difficulties, we had some trouble getting last episode up. So you guys are getting 2 episodes this week. Early this week, you'll have seen me and Lynn cover HBO Max in episode 74. And now you have episode 75 with me, Nick, and Lynn. I know. An explosion of excitement here to be had.
The menage a trois of casters. Oh, sorry.
I wasn't going to go there, but if you guys go to youtube.com/c/Nerdentials, you can watch the crazy dancing of the Lynn Dungeon here on screen. He's silent right now, but he is dancing his heart out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a...
I'm giving 120%. Let's go.
I appreciate it, dude. The energy is exciting. Guys, this is episode 75. We are officially, right now, at this moment, 3/4 of the way to 100 episodes. We are that close. And right now, behind me, I have a cat exploring my collection of nerd memorabilia. She may knock some shit down. In spirit of the nerd culture, her name is Minerva, named after, yes, Minerva McGonagall, the wizard in Harry Potter, one of the teachers from Hogwarts. Yes. I didn't name her. She belongs to my 8-year-old daughter. The wife named her, if we're being honest.
All of my cats are named after dragons from Game of Thrones.
And I am familiar with that as well. Yes. Let the nerd culture continue to bleed out of the seams of what binds us together as nerds. That's where I was going with that.
All my dogs have been named after sports movies characters. Like my dog here's name's Rudy.
Oh, hey.
You know, I'm not against that, Nick. But you're alone in this battle.
I will.
with
I,
Hey,
with
Rudy was
nerd,
good movie.
with nerd reference. I apologize. I'm not criticizing.
I will take it back. One of my cats was not named after one of the dragons. The little gray one was named Ham. And the
After
reason she was,
some Studio Ghibli shit.
yeah, from Ponyo.
Yeah, that's right. And the
When
nerds cry out.
when she screams out Ham. And that is just because he gets so excited with Ham.
Does your guys? I don't know if you see this. I've never had my cat tiptoe over all my collectibles before. Can you see this crap? Hey,
I can
what are you
verify
doing?
that the other night
What are
when
you
you
doing?
did get very disappearing on me,
Okay,
she was very tiptoe
And
around all your collectibles.
and I need to say, when you do get to that video where that was, there was actually time I was in the Skype call ready to do the recording. I could have been there.
well, now my question is: did either of you record it? Because I don't
No.
think I'd. It's lost to the ether. Ah,
Yeah. No, it was when you went down to check on something and died on your couch.
She she hopped onto your chair where you're sitting, and I was screaming at her for a little while.
We should have recorded it. We actually had some deep
Yeah,
conversation.
we should
Well,
have, but
you know what? When I
she
woke
was
up
like,
to
she was looking at the camera.
peeling back the curtains for our listeners, I dare say after we started our HBO recording, Lynn, we tried to hook up with Nick and Matt the following night. And I recall starting the Skype call with Lynn. Didn't get Nick on there at the time when I left, and then I left to go downstairs to check on some stuff. And I got the crazy idea of, man, I think I need to lay down for a minute. And I don't know why. But after doing said lay down activity, I never returned. And these dear gents here waited at least a couple hours before giving up, and then finally called it a night.
And when he says hook up with Matt and Nick, there was no docking involved. Gotta
No,
put that out there.
nope. We like to stay PG for most part. But and then I woke up to a litany of messages on Discord asking me where am I? Are you okay?
And calls on your phone.
I had a couple missed calls from Lynn. Two missed calls.
from me.
Yeah. And then Matt said that he drank too much and fell asleep with his little boy in his arms. And then he also mentioned never got a call.
So you weren't the only one.
To which on air I would like to apologize to Matthew. Dude, I am sorry I didn't call you.
Hey, if
So
we're
sorry.
being completely transparent with our whole Nerdentials crew here, there was a couple nights back where I was going to play with Nick, and Dude got really sick, and he was like exorcist vomiting everywhere.
Oh dear.
And I was trying to play with Nick, and I hopped on, and then I had to hop off, and
Never came back.
this whole week, Jude, the time frame is about 11 o'clock till 2 a.m.
Okay,
and I'm up with him.
we got 1 hour.
No-
Just
No ill
kidding.
feelings, man. No ill feelings at all.
Nah, dude. I have
but
no
you know what?
excuse. I have no legitimate excuse. I have a dumb ass excuse for why I didn't come back. You had a sick child. You had a sick child. Then.
There's no dumb excuse in life. It's just you were repaying your sleep debt. I was dealing with someone who was sick and trying to not make them interrupt things that I was trying to do, which inhibited me from things I was trying to do.
And Joe, the night before, you guys were going to record, and one of your fellow casters never answered the phone because it was dead.
A common issue with a certain someone.
I know. I don't know who it could have been.
Did I say Yahtzee?
Roll the dice.
That was
Right.
my first week of working again in a
Yeah.
while, and I got home after a long week. It was Friday. I laid down on my bed and was talking to my wife, and I woke up the next day like, what the hell?
Well, and I did the same thing where when I went to lay down, I woke up at 1 a.m. and I saw that list of texts and I was like, crap.
Dude, you
what just
blew up my
happened?
phone with, hey, exclamation, exclamation, exclamation.
That was
exclamation.
earlier in the night, sir. I was very much awake at that time trying to bug you. And I know.
Well, my phone was turned off, so when I finally turned it on, it all hit me all at once. She was just like,
alert, 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 alert.
yeah.
And it falls in the category of we're human.
We are, but you know what, guys?
Except for Matt. He's a ginger.
Oh, well, okay, but we still love him. We still love the vessel in which he travels in.
Yes. It's besides the point.
Even though it may be soulless. He's redheaded if you guys are new to the channel. But that being said, we love you, Matthew, and guys, let's kick things off now that we've reminisced about our shortcomings enough. I feel.
I missed this, guys. Let's do this.
Or long comings. That was a pretty long intro.
It kind of has been. Don't worry, guys. We will have timestamps for this episode for your convenience. But
Skip all our shenanigan banter.
only other thing only other thing, Lynn, I think that I need to appropriately throw out there for new listeners before we kick things off is just where if they're enjoying the conversation so far, there's a lot more of it, and the couple places you can go to check all of it out is you can either go to our YouTube channel, look up Nerdentials, and you'll find a litany of videos, including this podcast. You'll find trailer reactions, video game let's plays, and a plethora of other shenanigans revolving around nerd culture.
Farva, he said shenanigans.
I did.
Also said my word, plethora.
I love
And
plethora.
I can dig it. And if there's any undue or negative feedback you'd like, send it towards the Lynn at Pay to Have Fun on Twitter.
That's right, guys. You can DM us or just straight Twitter us if you have feedback, thoughts, questions, or if you want to just leave a nasty comment to Lynn. All the hate messages can go to Lynn because he asks for it. But aside from all that, Facebook, Twitter,
and Pay to Have Fun isn't a hooker reference. Or is it?
Who knows?
Or is
Message and find out, guys.
you get paid to have fun. You know.
But guys,
Not that hate messages are fun, but oh well.
We could make it fun on the cast. We could read your hate mail on the cast. It could be fun.
Dude.
I could make it fun.
And there's one place he didn't say about it. You could find all of those things, including written material from us, on one exciting place. Nerdentialsmedia.com.
.com. That's right, folks. Nerdentialsmedia.com. So, now that all that is out of the way, thank you, gents, for joining me in tonight's recording. The first...
Good night.
Yeah, well, we're not done yet. We just started, sir. So, guys, let's kick things off with some TV talk. Guys, welcome to welcome to TV Talk. Guys, today we just have a couple news points to cover that we missed in the last episode, Lynn. I know. We were so thorough with HBO Max, but these things literally came out a couple days before recording, and we still missed some of these headlines. I know, crazy, right?
Yeah.
A couple little excerpts that I wanted to throw out there of things also coming to HBO Max. We to be fair, last episode was heavily here's all the original quote unquote original content coming to the platform.
And Gossip Girl, if anybody missed it.
Gossip Girl sequel.
Woo!
Oh, and let's not forget the Grease spin-off TV series. Woohoo!
Oh, yeah. That'll totally be great. Yeah,
Hey,
check it out, guys.
but Lynn, to be fair, there was actually a decent list
Okay.
of interesting ideas.
You can't knock it until you try it. You gotta take at least one bite before you spit it out.
I agree with that full-heartedly. And but one thing we did forget, or things we forgot, were some of the library that's coming with HBO Max, i.e., properties, IPs that are already in existence that are coming to this service. We kind of forgot some of those. So, not in my notes, but one thing I've read even before we recorded, and I'm very sad that we forgot to cover this, is that every DC Warner Brothers owned movie, DC comic book movie, is coming to HBO Max in its library. And they say the last 40 years of DC comic book superhero movies, dating back to all of the Superman movies and the Batman movies. Dude, like all that old stuff. So that's
Like Batman Returns.
Yeah, and then the Tim Burton films, Batman Beyond, Batman Forever, and Batman and Robin, all those crazy things, all those cult air quote classics. But and then in addition to that,
fairness. Pulp Fiction is the true cult classic. In all fairness.
I won't dispute that with you, but there are many cult classics, to be fair.
Off topic, but continue on.
Well, not completely off topic. Something else coming to the service that me am personally excited, and I imagine that Robin and Lynn will be excited about, is the addition of Doctor Who. Right here, we've got to mention that the Doctor's heading to HBO Max after Warner Media streaming service picked up the exclusive streaming rights to long-running BBC studio drama Doctor Who. And here it says in this article, the service will have all 11 seasons of the sci-fi fan favorite at launch in spring of 2020, which it's kind of the tail end of spring. We learned it's May 2020, so it's like the beginning of summer, to be fair. Will include the VOD, video on demand premiere of season 11, which stars Jodie Whittaker. So that's the first ever, opinions aside right now, folks, that is the first ever female Doctor in the franchise and the most current. And as part of the deal with BBC Studios, the streamer will be the exclusive video on demand home for future seasons after they air on BBC America. So, kind of like Hulu, where they would air next day, whatever, of things that come out, we're going to get pretty current. Every week we're going to get current, future coming Doctor Who stuff on HBO Max. That's pretty stinking exciting. But,
well, can I throw this out there?
Yeah.
On top of that?
Yeah.
Polverine's balls must be pretty fondled by now to get all that.
Cricket. What? I'm missing your reference, Lynn. It's over my head tonight.
It's a Deadpool reference. Duh. Balls that had to fondle to get that on their network. Polverine's, obviously. I mean, rhymes with it.
Okay, I get it. In addition to Doctor
Cricket.
that was me. That was my own ignorance, Lynn, coming out. I'm sorry.
I get you. I'm
And
just. I'm just.
Well, actually,
what,
since you're talking about HBO too,
well, hold on.
um,
Hold on,
oh,
hold
go
on,
ahead.
hold on.
Oh,
I'm
are we
hold on. I
also
got
talking
one
about
bullet point
all
here.
you
One
have to
bullet point. Hold on.
follow the
Lynn, one more bullet point. Come on. About the BBC stuff. In addition to Doctor Who, HBO Max has licensed 700 episodes of landmark BBC series, including Ricky Gervais's The Office, Top Gear, Luther, and The Honorable Woman from the BBC. So that's all I had to say.
I will throw this out there. Top Gear is worth the watch, especially
I
if you're
agree.
a car enthusiast or watching cars get demolished enthusiast.
They ride all the supercars, dude. It's a cool show.
Top Top Gear is a great show. I mean, when it came over to the US and on the I can't remember what that stupid Dish Network TV channel was called, but it was
I know what you're
great.
saying. Mm-hmm.
It's great until it came to the US, and when it was a BBC only show, Top Gear was a fantastic show. Like they race through the Sahara, they would race through different climates, different environments, different terrains, style cars. Like some would do, like supercars, like exotic. Some would do like rock crawlers. It's not, like strict to one genre or one type of car,
Right.
but I, and the humor on top of it all, British humor. It's a great TV show.
Right, dude. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. Nick, I didn't mean to cut you off earlier. What else did I cover that? What you were gonna say, or what else were you gonna say?
Nope. Um, all the Game of Thrones fans, HBO's first Game of Thrones spinoff, starring Naomi Watts and written by showrunner Jane Goldman, set 1,000 years before the Game of Thrones events, has already been scrapped.
Oh, good. You're covering the accurate. Yes. Yeah. I
Yeah,
don't think we mentioned it on air. I talked about it off air with you, Lynn. But yeah. To be fair though,
yeah.
there were actually two spin-offs in the works, and the one that is going forward, officially confirmed within the same time frame of whatever article you're reading off of, Nick, is that there is another prequel series that takes place only 300 years before the Game of Thrones events, and it's going to be focused on
On the
the
fall of Targaryens.
the family of Targaryens. Yeah. So no details beyond that or any official confirmations, but
Yeah, it's going to be based off Martin's book Fire and Blood.
yeah. But to be fair, right now, as far as HBO Max and HBO proper are concerned, they have not confirmed how that's going to coexist or not coexist. We're getting some stuff from HBO proper, but they are still, there's no official word that it's going to merge or dissolve right now. It's still HBO itself, HBO Now, the mobile app and the internet app based service is still its own thing currently outside of Warner Media's HBO Max. So at the time of our recording, we don't have any word on whether or not things like Westworld, Game of Thrones, or any of that other stuff is going to have anything to do with HBO Max currently. I will allow Nick a moment to look into it, but I haven't found anything about those merging or being connected.
Weird.
Two other notes worth mentioning that are also coming to HBO Max that we, part of the original content that's coming that we kind of missed, Mr. Lin, was the announcement of a Green Lantern TV series. I know, dude. Like, here's the thing. Like, Warner Brothers as a whole has stumbled and fallen multiple times.
I thought
Yellen?
Ryan Reynolds said kill it after the CGI green suit in Deadpool. Wasn't that the role?
That was the film, and that was Ryan Reynolds' personal statements and opinions. Those
I thought it was. I thought it was supposed to be scrap. Come on now.
those have nothing to do with this TV series coming, nor does that have anything to do with the Green Lantern Corps DCU film being worked on in the next few years. That project is still eventually going to happen, and it will have nothing to do with Ryan Reynolds. Because, first off, Ryan Reynolds himself wants nothing to do with it because they failed so horribly in his original role. So, everyone at this point in my announcement and talking about this can just completely forget that the Green Lantern film ever existed. Hashtag 2011, oops, from DC. However, I did want to kind of read through a little bit of this Green Lantern project and let you guys know who's involved. I think this could be potentially exciting. And a lot of people wanted a series over a movie just because of the scope and what could be put into a show. So I'll read this real quick and shorten it up if need be, but this comes from the Nerdist.com. It says, while Disney Plus has had our streaming attention wrapped by announcing Marvel limited series and showing us great-looking footage from The Mandalorian, the competitors aren't willing to sit idly by. HBO Max, the Warner Bros. Property streaming service, launches next year and has already announced a roster of library content, which we covered last week. But in a massive press conference on Tuesday, announced a bevy of new programs reflecting all of the Warner Media's respective media companies. One of those companies is DC Comics and DC Television mega producer Greg Berlanti, who's responsible for all the CW shows that a lot of us love and most fans truly enjoy. It took the stage to announce two projects. One, an anthology series called Strange Adventures, and the other, a Green Lantern-inspired series. So let me break these two down real quick, and I would love your guys' thoughts after. First, let's talk about Strange Adventures real quick. We know some things about this one. The show will be a bit like The Twilight Zone for superheroes. It'll feature characters from across DC canon, according to Berlanti. The one-hour drama will explore close-ended morality tales about the intersecting lives of normal humans and superpowered beings. This seems like a really cool idea and will allow for writers and producers to really get into the nitty-gritty of superhero psychology. Also, the impact those people have on the greater society without the added baggage of continued storytelling. So one-and-done episodes kind of an idea. The Strange Adventures also has a pretty impressive roster of producers and writers in place. Berlanti, Sarah Schechter from The Arrow, The Flash, Supergirl, Titans, Doom Patrol, and showrunner writer John Steffens from Gotham and Gossip Girl serve as executive producers. Charlie Huston from Powers in Gotham is a co-executive producer. Bridget Hales from Once Upon a Time is a producer, and Selwyn Seyfu Hins from Dominic Laveau, Voodoo Child, and The Twilight Zone is a consulting producer. The Green Lantern now... quick thoughts on that. Those are some big name producers and writers involved on the first show, Strange Adventures, an anthology series about heroes and humans. Nick, do you have any raw reactions to that concept?
Nope. I'll wait for the original trailer for the show to give some feedback. It'll kind of give us an idea of how they're going to address it. Just the speculation right now. I don't want to jumped to conclusions yet.
But right now, just to be fair, Nick, this is kind of an open-ended discussion where speculation is perfectly fine, and our listeners and viewers do not have to hold us to anything we say responding to this bit of news.
Well,
because
Strange
there's
Adventures,
nothing.
The way you're going to think about it is going to be Adam Strange and his tie-ins with different superheroes. It'd be
I'm glad you brought that up. Mm-hmm.
It would be the most apt way for them to do it. Because he's tied in throughout the DC universe.
Nick, I am not, and maybe others out there listening to us may not be super familiar with what and who Adam Strange is. What's the makeup of his character? What is he about in general? Just a broad description of what he is from past iterations.
Adam Strange, it's the best way I could describe him. He's been involved from everything from Justice League to the Green Lantern Corps. You actually have you seen the show Krypton?
Yes. Wait, was that the character?
Strange.
I haven't gotten far enough into Krypton to know how they utilize him. But are you saying that Strange from that show is kind of a really good idea?
Yeah, Adam Strange is a time traveler. Right.
Okay. No, that's a good description, dude. Like, I couldn't have put my thumb on it until you said that. So he kind of involves himself in a lot of different characters in the DC. Mm-hmm. Okay. So that actually, he would be a perfect catalyst, dude, for creating an anthology series. He would be a great catalyst or even a narrator for a lot of these potential interactions with different characters.
Yeah, he's a futuristic archaeologist.
Yeah.
That's traveling through time to study these things that he's studied bones of in the future.
Right. That's a very cool, interesting idea. I want to throw it over to Lynn real quick. Do you have any thoughts on the potential for this show?
I'm very curious to see where it goes. I'll probably enjoy it, but not by choice.
Fair enough, Lynn.
I'll give it a couple episodes, but it's just one of those. I'm not very well versed in it, so I'll dip my toes into the water, see where it goes, and
now this could be interesting, Lynn and Nick. That in contrast to what Marvel's doing for an anthology series, where they're doing the What If series, where every episode is an alternative take on a classic character. Granted, they're doing an animated series, and there's been no indication that Strange Adventures is going to be animated. It sounds like it's probably going to be live action, but there's no indication of what style they're going to go with for this show. But it sounds like they could tackle on potentially the same ideas of just taking unique one-off stories each week, and potentially with classic characters that we're familiar with, but if Adam Strange, based on the title Strange Adventures, could be involved with him time traveling and stuff, they could literally do alternative takes on classic characters as well. You know what I mean? So that could be cool. But like you, Lynn, I get it. Like a wait and see approach is always good.
It would also be fun if it was kind of like a mixed media genre where it was like Love, Death, and Robots, where it's not the same.
Or the
genre.
Animatrix.
Yeah, exactly.
Different styles of animation, CG, half live action CG.
Yeah,
there could be, yeah.
I could definitely get...
I'm actually reading up on it. They're actually saying that Adam Strange will be the main character of the Strange Adventures.
Nice, dude. Yeah, Nick, you need just a little side note, behind the scenes side note to our listeners. Nick, you got to help me with these research notes. You always find stuff that I miss, like little details like that, dude. Because like I read the biggest article that showed up, but I don't. You somehow find the deeper dives. I'm saying props to you, sir.
And I did not mean to interrupt, Lynn. I have a tendency when I find information, it's just bleh, verbal diarrhea.
You know what? Sometimes that's a blessing, dude. Because sometimes, like if you didn't interrupt, you might forget about mentioning something. You know what I mean? It can happen. Hey, real quick, let's
hold
go
on.
ahead, Lynn.
No. He said that Adam Strange will be the main to this, but he did not confirm the media.
Does that do anything you read say anything about if it's going to be live action or any? Is anyone probably haven't read anything about that yet? We'll keep our listeners apprised of future developments, obviously, because we're going to be following a lot of this stuff very closely, especially we may not follow the streaming giants as a whole, but we'll definitely pick and choose like the series that we were going to cover, and we'll probably definitely go in deeper on some of these as they come out.
Well, I mean, between the four of us, we'll probably end up getting in all the streaming services, whether we like it or not.
I was trying to be modest, Lynn, but yes, we're probably going to go nuts over the next few months.
Not by choice, but we will.
Comicbookmovie.com says that both Green Lantern and Strange Adventures will be live action TV shows.
Sweet. I mean, I love animation. We're still getting plenty of that from the various streaming services, but I like seeing live action DC stuff, especially when it comes to TV serialized stuff, because they usually do such a good job with series. Like when it comes to like television series that are live action, like Warner Brothers has been pretty good at getting the right people behind it, and we're talking Greg Berlanti, who heads up all of the CW guys. You know what I mean? So, just throwing that out there. Are you guys ready for me to spin off the Green Lantern details real quick? Okay, last original series coming out that we've heard for HBO Max, the Green Lantern now is very mysterious, said Berlanti. Quote, in what promises to be our... This excites me a little bit. He says, in what promises to be our biggest DC show ever made, we will be going to space with a Green Lantern television series, but I can't reveal any more about that just yet. So just taking his direct quote there, he's done all the CW shows like iZombie that's not even related to the superheroes, but he's also been behind. He's kind of the Kevin Feige for DC television. He's done Arrow, The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow. He picked up the heading Supergirl when it transferred over to the CW with season 2. He's worked on Black Lightning, and he's been responsible for the pilot and full pickup of an entire first season of Batwoman. And he's headed up all of these series, and here's the big key to remember, guys. Not one single one of those CW shows has been canceled. Not even one. And Batwoman is the newest entry, and she's not even through one season yet. But all the previous shows out there, minus Black Lightning, have had successfully more than 3 seasons. And to point things out, Flash is on season 5. Arrow is not canceling, but ending with season 8. And that's because Stephen Amell didn't want to continue as Green Arrow past this year. So the writers and Greg Berlanti decided that they would end the series on 8 seasons. So it's not being canceled. The ratings are still through the roof for all these shows. Legends of Tomorrow is entering its 5th season right now. Black Lightning will be entering its 3rd season, and to up to this point, as of 2011 to now, none of these shows have been canceled. So, guys, additional details regarding Green Lantern. Berlanti and Co. have gone to space a few times in the past. The CW series, DC Legends of Tomorrow, is all about that time and space life. But to promise the biggest DC series we've ever seen, and with the entire universe of space cops to follow, this could conceivably be HBO Max's biggest contender to Disney Plus's space opera crown. Green Lantern has been one of the DC film universe's trickiest titles. The initial Ryan Reynolds outing proved supremely disappointing. However, the idea was to reintroduce the Green Lantern Corps to movie screens at some point. But the DCEU is in upheaval following a few massive critical and audience failures. Cough, Justice League, cough, cough. And Warner Media is willing to cough up big bucks to ensure streaming success. Not to mention to the track record of Berlanti with DC TV series, this might just be the most exciting and essential title DC TV has yet. We still won't know much more until at least next year. When we do, we'll be sure to let you know exactly what this means for the DC Universe. Streaming service is also a mystery, though with its best series Doom Patrol getting a dual premiere on HBO Max, we're guessing it won't last too much longer. And that was kind of like this article wrapping up the idea that we already mentioned, where we're kind of like, what does this mean for DC Universe, the app, which is, by itself $7 a month. And just to throw this scope out there, DC Universe has only had 3 original series in the entire year that it has now been out. It's been out for over a year. We only have 3 original series, and yes, there was a backlog of movies and other shows, but that's it for $7 a month. And I think the sad notion to make is that Apple TV Plus has twice as many original shows launched on day one compared to DC Universe by itself. And I know it's more niche. I get it, but
On the same token, like you were talking earlier tonight, what was the backlog of the comic books that you could have access to?
well, that was the other reason, that I hope the service doesn't cancel, dude, is because
Yeah.
unless they find a way to bring it over to HBO Max, I don't want to see the crazy, massive catalog of digital DC Comics disappear, because it's so nice to just be able to catch up on recent, sagas.
It wasn't even recent sagas, was it? It
No,
was
it's
also,
got
like,
it's got a lot of stuff, dude.
like it was also backlog sagas, wasn't it, as well?
Oh no, yeah. No, my point is, unless I go to a comic book shop or Comixology.com and I try to look up the literal latest stuff, DC Universe is kind of one of the cheapest, easiest places to just instantly click on something. Like anytime a new show came out, they would showcase comic books related to that new show, so you could kind of learn and catch up on the
Yeah.
canon of what these shows are based on. It was really cool the way they did it.
Well, okay, I didn't go into the comic book aspect of the DC streaming service, but
Fair enough.
how in depth did they cover the Dark Horse Detective Batman comic book series? Did they go very in depth with it, or did they touch it at all? Like the Dark Horse comic book series, Detective Batman, or like the Vampire Batman Detective Dark Horse.
To my knowledge, you can find most things that are owned by DC, whether it was published by Dark Horse or not.
Okay. And I
It's
was
very extensive. It doesn't
like,
contain
like I,
100% the entirety of all the comic books ever published, but there's massive, massive backlogs of old and new.
like in all fairness, the only thing that I really touched on was the Titan series on the streaming service. Like that was the one thing that I was excited for that I didn't have access anywhere else that I touched on when I grabbed your login to the DC streaming service. I didn't really get too much into the comic book series, but I will say the one thing that I enjoyed from the Batman series was the Dark Horse Detective Batman and the Dark Horse Vampire Batman series.
Right.
And I mean,
Either way, I mean, I'm
it's
just
not,
hoping they don't get rid of the opportunity to access that kind of library,
yeah, and
depending on where HBO Max goes.
it'd be nice if they still allocated your access to that, kind of like what Dish does, where like on Amazon, I can still log in with my Dish login and get access to all those services, but it's on a different network, being Amazon. It it'd be nice. I mean,
So, forgive me if at any point in time you guys think I'm cutting you off. Feel free to obviously shut me down. I'm just going to keep pushing for the flow of all the topics we want to cover. Guys, real quick, any thoughts on the Green Lantern series? It being a show and being produced by Greg Berlanti, who's known for all the CW stuff that has been successful up to this point. What and level of anticipation or expectation or excitement do either of you guys feel? And it's coming to HBO Max, so it's gonna have a budget, and it has the opportunity to go dark if it wants to be a little more adult. There's a lot of room for what this show could end up being.
okay, Nick, I will allow you to go first because mine is going to be more satirical and humorous than yours will probably be.
I don't know.
Go
I
ahead,
haven't
Nick.
seen anything on it.
I'm not asking for your opinion on what is there. I'm asking for your opinion on. I asked you, what do you hope to see from this? What do you expect based on the fact that it's coming to an adult service such as HBO Max, where it has room to be dark and adult, and has a big potential budget, and is backed up by Greg Berlanti? What this is not meant to. I'm not asking your opinion on facts. I'm asking your opinion on speculation.
Honestly,
Of
what I'd like
is
to
there.
see in our current state and everything that's big in the DC universe and big in the universe in general when it comes to TV, this is their perfect chance to line up the Green Lantern Corps, get it all set up, and bring in Blackest Night.
That's a very intriguing, very heavy story arc.
Think about it. Strange Adventures talks about all the other people. Green Lantern Corps. They can use those side by side, working up to the point where they actually let all hell break loose with Blackest Night. And on HBO, it's an adult version. They could actually get away with it. Are you telling me you would not like to see DC zombies?
No, I'm not disagreeing with that at all. I am fascinated by such a bold pick for you, sir, on what you hope to see out of a. Are you talking long term, or you hope to see this in season 1 of this show?
Long term. Here's the
Okay.
thing. Here's the thing you probably don't know about me. My favorite DC character ever, ever, Hal Jordan. I love Green Lantern through and through.
I will say he is at the top of my list as well, Nicholas.
It's good.
Through lightest dark and darkest light. Don't need no bling to join the fight. We're mercs with mouths and so much more. Yippee-ki-yay. We're the Deadpool core.
Hashtag funny. I like it.
Now, that's the other thing that he was talking about. But yeah, that would also be a very smart way of approaching it.
You said Black as Night, and I was like, man,
The Lantern
that's
Corps. Worse.
that's I know, but I was just like, that's an epic first season. But then you were saying long term.
Well, actually, if you think about it, you could technically do Blackest Night. Because after Blackest Night, they did the whole Brightest Day.
Mm-hmm.
And Brightest Day was the reestablishing of the Lantern Corps.
Fair enough. Yeah, that could be 2 seasons in the bag if they wanted to work it.
All I'm saying is I would pay for a regime Batman or a regime Wonder Woman.
I didn't have to pay for it, and I got to enjoy it on Injustice, the mobile app game.
By
NetherRealms. It's really
I played
good.
the shit out of that game.
The game, yeah. I mean, but a TV series,
I know.
I would pay extra for that. Or Bizarro Superman. I mean, Goofy is heck and, kind of a caveman. But Bizarro Superman is something I grew up on.
Well, guys, if you are ready, I am going to segue into probably the next segment for our episode because we've gone very long in the tooth on more streaming service stuff. Segue. Anything I missed, we'll cover in a future episode. No worries, nerds. But at this time, I think it's the best time to jump into Gaming Bits. Guys, welcome to Gaming Bits. It is time to dive in to everything current, at least within the last couple weeks, of things that we wanted to talk about regarding gaming. Because, for sure, we've lacked a little bit in gaming conversation as of late. However, I want to throw this out there before we kick things off, that I am about to get back heavily into Game Pass first look videos, and I'm going to be putting out a lot more Apple Arcade first look videos in the coming weeks. We had a hiccup with some technical things here at the studio, but I'm about to get full bore back into game sampling. But that being said, I am going to need Nick and Lynn's wits about them as we jump into this major gaming topic this week, guys. It's a couple weeks past from its inception and spike in media, but we wanted to just lay out the details for anyone maybe not aware of the situation and give our perspective on what's been going on with the company known as Blizzard. Who, on a quick side note, before I let you guys jump in, Blizzard is known for such titles recently in popularity on streaming services as Twitch and Mixer, like the games Overwatch, games like Diablo, games like StarCraft, Warcraft, and World of Warcraft, the long-running MMO, which
and
still
Hearthstone.
requires... And Hearthstone, rest in peace, dear friend. I'm just kidding. That's still going strong. But, and our World of Warcraft, which is still a shocking $15 a month service after being online for more than 10 years and having gone through more than 20 million subscribers in those last 10 years. ridiculous, and that is where Blizzard gets its money. But that's kind of like the hot take spiel that they're a very business-oriented game developer, and they, over the last 5 years, have put out mostly nothing but AAA titles that have been wildly successful. So we will briefly talk about certain things that they're coming out with in the next year or two, but there's a very heavy topic we wanted to discuss regarding Blizzard as a corporation and things they have chosen to do in light of the current social atmosphere. So, now that I've set all that up for you guys, I want to pass it off to Nick, who we're slowly losing through energy loss, and Lynn. I'm kidding. Nick and Lynn, I want to pass it off to you guys to discuss the heat and bulk of what is going on in the last couple weeks with Blizzard. Nick, I know you took the majority of notes, so why don't you headline what's been going on with the company? He's taking stock of all the details, guys. Hold on.
There was an incident that happened last month that has shaken my faith in the company of Blizzard to the core. They have proven once and for all that the only thing that matters to them is the bottom line and not the game players. Sorry if that's harsh, but that is honestly how me and millions of fans think. Everyone knows about the Hong Kong riots. The people of Hong Kong are fighting for democracy against a communist regime that has a tendency to try to censor everything that comes in or out of their country, and are now pushing for censorship here in America. The reason why this is such an issue is Blizzard has always prided itself on backing their players, backing their fan base. There was an incident where a pro Hearthstone player during a tournament, at the end of the cast,
Blitzchung.
What?
Blitzchung.
Yeah, Blitzchung. At the end of it, said a statement in support of the pro-democracy protesters in Hong Kong. Blizzard stripped him of his winnings of the competition, banned him from competitive play for a year, and not only that, fired the two shoutcasters that were part of the tournament that were doing the recording on it. Mm-hmm. There has been major outcry. Since then, Blizzard has come back on it and broke it back down to 6-month ban and given back the prize winnings. But their hasty
I heard not all of it.
Yeah, but their hasty actions to ban and punish a player for sharing their thoughts and opinions in a one-word sentence without saying, down with the people, blah, blah, blah. He just said that it was the biggest, what was the exact words?
It was along the lines of like something someone from France would say, like "Viva la Revolution."
Yeah, he's Blitzchung Nung Wei, a Hong Kong person, said, "Liberate Hong Kong, revolution of our time," and that's all he said. There are a few things that go along with this that make it kind of frustrating why this happened. One, Blitzchung is a Blizzard player. As a company, they should have supported their players over the money.
Well, I mean, along those lines, I concur with you, but with him being also of Hong Kong descent and the fact that he lives in Hong Kong, being a separatist democratic city-state, he shouldn't be under the one Hong Kong or the one China rule, which is what we were talking about while Joe was gone, which is what Taiwan is dictated over.
Mm-hmm.
He shouldn't be, silenced or told what he can or cannot say, being that he lives in Hong Kong, is that it's separate. It's democratic. They have an open government. They're not a totalitarianism, a totalitarianism socialist government.
Yep.
It kind of sucks. And Blizzard with their company mission statement and goals is that they want everyone to have the open reins and the freedom of speech to live life as they choose and be open to their own commentary the way that they depict. But yet they also say on the same token that he didn't, stick to gameplay guidelines within the tournament and only talk about the gameplay. It kind of sucks that they punished him so hard as they did. And even after the redactment of their punishment, to cut it in half, where he only sees 6 months of punishment and he gets his prize money back. It still sucks because, like a lot of people say, and what certain people that don't see in tournament play is 6 months of Grandmaster play is still really harsh because, 6 months of Grandmaster play, you don't get to see what the meta is. You don't get to see what certain people are dealing with as far as gameplay goes. And it's rough. Like if I were to jump back into Magic the Gathering right now, I don't know what the meta is. If I'm being completely honest. And that's along the lines of what Hearthstone is. Hearthstone is a tabletop card game genre, and it's along the lines of Magic the Gathering. And every time a new series comes out, there's a new meta, and there's certain nerfs to tournament that you don't get. And with Hearthstone, if you lose 6 months, 6 months is painful.
Let's put this way, though. You know how much that one tournament won him before they stripped it?
No, how much?
Equivalent to $10,000. That's one tournament.
I get it. Guys, while I will not dismiss the gamer's perspective of what you guys are sharing, I think as journalists and entertainment content creators that we also need to cover the full extent of Blizzard's reasoning and where this may have come from. And I have read up very thoroughly on and heard from multiple podcast perspectives of what has gone on from the company side of things. So the thing is, and let me just lay this out there and then you guys can counter whatever I'm saying. First and foremost, I am a gamer. Secondly, I understand the hardships of losing out on time lost gaming. I also fully respect and understand time lost when gaming is your job or career. I fully understand that entire perspective that you guys are laying out here for all of our listeners and fan base that also are gamers. Not dismissing that, but we also do have to look at just the additional details that are involved that don't necessarily pertain to our. I'll skip the my opinions. I will just lay out like the hard cold facts of what I do know. Blizzard is funded very heavily by NetEase, which is a multi-billion-dollar Chinese-based corporation that pays a lot of investments into multiple companies. A similar Chinese-based company paid
Isn't
into Bungie recently, which is not NetEase. It was a different company.
Tencent.
Lynn, what? What are you trying to say?
isn't it owned by Tencent?
No, NetEase is
No.
in a partnership with
No,
Blizzard.
yeah. But isn't NetEase, which paid into Bungie, owned by Tencent, which was also an acquisition of Activision, which Activision is owned by or owns Blizzard.
The collaboration between Blizzard and NetEase began in 2008 with a licensing agreement to bring StarCraft 2 and the Blizzard Battle.net platform to China. Since then, the companies have worked together to bring Blizzard's epic game experience to Chinese players, and this is from PRNewsWire.com. The collaboration between Blizzard and NetEase has been instrumental in NetEase has been instrumental in helping us bring Blizzard's epic games to even more players around the world, and we're grateful to have such. Nick, would you Wikipedia the NetEase background and tell me if it coincides with Lynn's concerns as I read this quote? Thank you. NetEase has been instrumental in helping us bring Blizzard's epic games to even more players around the world, and we're grateful to have such a strong partner in China, said J. Allen Brack, president of Blizzard Entertainment. Quote, "We look forward to continuing our relationship and cooperation in China and beyond." Quote, "We're pleased to continue our successful partnership with Blizzard after more than a decade of close cooperation," said William Ding, founder and CEO of NetEase. "The scope of our collaboration is now deeper and broader than ever before. We're confident that together we will continue to bring even more exciting game experiences to players worldwide." Nick, have you found anything about the connection between NetEase and Tencent? Or whatever? Aside from the connection relationship wise, and I'm sorry if I came off as a massive dick. I'm just trying to lay out a couple facts, which I obviously don't have all the facts because you just put into question what I was going with.
No, I'm sorry.
Is an opinion because I'm not sure. I have 2 or 3 very specific facts I want to lay out, and then I will shut up the rest of the conversation.
Oh, you're fine.
Blizzard, yes, usually supports their player base quite well up to this particular outbursting point that happened from one of their biggest Chinese players. Now, the problem is that so let's take out everything. Let's take out all the politics, all the race. Let's just go down to the brass tacks of this. Blizzard's policy as a streamer or a player who's in partnership at all with Blizzard is required through their company's policy. And let me just point out, a company's policy does not take away a human's right to freedom of speech. However, you can still be fired from a company for saying something inappropriate or out of alignment with the company's policy. This is true for every corporation across the world. I work for a company who is federally governed and has government-based contracts in our production. Now, across most of all 50 states, it is legal to smoke weed. It is not federally legal to smoke weed. Therefore, if I go to my job in the morning high as a kite and I get into an accident and I break a bunch of equipment and they find out I was high as a kite, I can be fired federally on the spot because it is against the company policy in America that company is not okay with you smoking till you're high as a kite. But recreationally, the state of Oregon, the state of Washington, I can smoke all I want as long as I don't go to work for this said company high as a kite. The company has 100% legal jurisdiction to fire my ass for being high. Now, in the United States, we have complete freedom of speech. Can I get on a soapbox at my company and rave and rant about blank, blank, blank said rights, sexism, political views, gender association? Can I rant and rave at my job site and expect to? And hold on, and I want to make this point clear. Can I do that kind of shit and not expect to potentially get fired over it for harassing certain individuals on the sales floor at my job? I'm pretty sure that's going to leave me in a whirlwind of hurt, even though America says I can say whatever I want. The company I work for, who I got hired by, has the complete right to fire me for said HR violations. Now, take all of that into context. Hold on. Blizzard has very strict policies about talking anything political or religious in anything where they're promotionally streaming their content. So, human rights aside, it doesn't matter if this Chinese individual was trying to speak up or use his platform as a perspective for his people, China versus Hong Kong. The fact is, I'm not up here. I'm just devil's advocate. It is within Blizzard's right to shut him down immediately. Now, on the other side of it, hold on, I'm almost finished, I promise, Lynn, and then I will shut up. It is Blizzard's right as a corporation to shut him down immediately. Now, was it a knee-jerk reaction because of the overlying overlord of NetEase? Does this make it a darker political perspective because China happens to be the main supplier in the partnership of Blizzard? Do we think maybe there was some pressure from China on Blizzard to be like, oh, this just happened, you need to shut him down? Absolutely, sure. That is very much the dark, shitty side of the whole thing. Blizzard was probably pressured because there are other streamers who have had other similar risque things happen that Blizzard took their sweet ass time in shutting down. And boy howdy, they sure jumped on this guy's ass very quickly. So, on the one hand, was it fair to him as a player? No. Was it fair as Blizzard as a company? Yes, it's within their policy right. They hired him. He works for Blizzard. They can shut him down for violating their policies. Now, I will shut up. I gave you the full breadth of my completely neutral political landscape. Blizzard was within their right. Was it right as a player? No. Okay, guys, go for it. Lynn was dying to rip something apart that I said. Go for it.
Here's where I stand. Everything you said works great in a state that is not right to work. Or no, that it is right to work. Every other state where your stance is that is not right, governed by a different state law as far as employment goes, That does not align with government or union guidelines.
They're not union.
No, it doesn't matter. It falls under the
Blizzard's
human,
an American company, correct?
but it falls under human rights and the Constitution.
So how do you feel about what I said earlier about any
On
company in America has the right to let you go if you're going to rant and rave on your platform on the work site?
in right to work states like Nevada, California, Oregon, and Washington, that works great.
Really?
But
So I can hold on. Prime extreme example. I can stand up on the drill site in front of a bunch of coworkers, and let's say 50% of them are women. I can rant and rave about how I think it's inappropriate that women work on these mine sites, and I think it's absolutely stupid and they're incapable and not as good as men. I'm not going to have any repercussions working out in Nevada for
no,
having made such a crazy rant on site.
you'll be let go
Yeah,
because
exactly.
of,
Okay, so my
because
point is
it's a
Blizzard has the right to let
no,
go this guy that represents him because he is a partner with Blizzard. Is that incorrect?
no, but it's a right to work state.
That
Nevada.
doesn't matter.
No, it does.
Where did this event take place? Where was he streaming from?
He was in Hong Kong. What is Hong
Okay,
Kong's rights?
I
That's not China's rights. That's not
okay,
China.
what okay,
That's
I'm
not.
not trying to debate you or argue with you.
No, I'm.
What is his legal connection to Blizzard then? How can he work for Blizzard if he's tied
He
by
doesn't
Hong
work
Kong
for
laws?
Blizzard. He doesn't work for Blizzard.
He doesn't.
He works. He is. He is his own entity participating in a Blizzard tournament, which is separate of its own right, which I don't even know how you can apply law or statute to. You know what I mean? Because do you know what Hong Kong's rights as a democratic city state are? Do you know, do they apply to a right to work state? Do they apply to a unionized state? Do they apply to a this is our guidelines for work state? What are their guidelines? Is I guess ultimately what my goal is. I don't feel like they are a right to work state. I feel like they are probably a union. They're probably a unionized state based on their safety goals and their safety laws. They're probably unionized, which means that a employee has to be found by certain guidelines and goals of the government of the state to be fired. If I'm correct, I mean that's ultimately me looking into it a little deeper than I probably should. But if they are unionized, there are rules and regulations that need to be met. And under a socialist government, that employee, if you want to call them an employee, they did not meet an annual salary or a yearly income of Blizzard to be called an employee. How can they be dictated by that company's laws if they aren't an employee? You know what I mean? I
Absolutely.
mean, I,
First up, hold on. I apologize for just half a second. I apologize for getting as heated as I did. I do not have a stake in this game. I do not have the forthright, extended full knowledge of how international relationships and cross country partnerships should work. So I'm just gonna soak in what you guys are saying at this point. I was just literally just kind of throw some things at you and see what you guys had to say about it. I I see what you're saying. I'm going to continue letting you and Nick talk. Nick hasn't said anything yet, but go ahead, Lynn.
As far as I'm going, from an economical point of view, there's maybe 4 different like points of payroll that happen over the world. Okay, there's the right to work, which is you can get fired for almost anything. You know what I mean? That's what here in Nevada you and me are used to. Is you mess up, you lost your job.
Yeah.
That's the right to work point of view. Then there's the unionized, which is there has to be a paper trail, a wicked paper trail of what you messed up, what you did wrong, as to why you got let go or why you're not receiving pay. That's the unionized. Then there's the third option, which is kind of like a state regulated payroll, which is you still have to have a reasoning behind why you're fired, but you can't have the ultimate, oligopoly dictatorship saying this is why, and it doesn't matter what you argue, reasoning why. But this guy is a gentleman participating in a tournament for fun, ultimately not, it's not his job. He's partaking in it as an enjoyment or recreational purposes, but yet he's getting regulated as though it is a vocational career, and he's getting told what he can and cannot say by another form of government, which is not U.S. nor Hong Kong. It is ultimately third party, which is socialist China, Hong Kong being a democratic city-state, U.S. being a democrat. Wow.
Democracy.
Democracy, but it is also, very much, capitalist government under the democracy. But, he's getting led and told what he can and cannot say based on socialism, which is ultimately China. Nick had his hand up. What's up?
Section 7.12 of the Grandmaster's Player's Handbook states that a player found to be in violation of this section, unsporting conduct minor, in addition to the penalty described in the handbook, will have the following amounts deducted from their prize total. First offense, $250. Second offense, $500. Third offense, $1,000. Fourth offense, prize total being reduced to 0 in the fourth and final instance of the same player. He never got the warnings. He never got the steps. They jumped specifically straight to the 0 amount to make a point.
They did. And then their Twitter account also stated that they did not represent the, very Americanized, not Chinese translation, but he did not represent China, and he was very offensive, and the company would not stand for it. And later, Blizzard came back and said, this is not how we dictate things, and this is not how we represent things, but they stood with the punishment.
Hey, I want to read some very important quotes from an article I just pulled up that was published, today as of our recording. The headline says, this comes from Polygon.com, Overwatch game director Jeff Kaplan Overwatch game director Jeff Kaplan disagrees with Blitzchung's suspension. And I just wanted to read a couple of these things. I thought they were very important. Blizzard's top developer for Overwatch, Jeff Kaplan, said the suspension handed to Hearthstone Pro, who voiced support for Hong Kong protesters in an official stream, should be, quote, reduced more or eliminated in an interview with the Washington Post. In October, Hearthstone Pro NG Blitzchung Y. Chung shouted support for Hong Kong demonstrators on a Blizzard-sponsored live stream and was suspended from competition originally for a year but later revised to 6 months. The suspension drew worldwide protest, both online and at last week's BlizzCon, the publisher's annual fan convention. At BlizzCon, Blizzard President J. Allen Brack apologized for its quick decision regarding Blitzchung and others, but still said the company will not revert his punishment completely. Fans disagreed vehemently. Apparently, Kaplan, Overwatch's game director, is with them. In an interview Friday with the Washington Post, Kaplan said he was relieved to hear Blitzchung's suspension was reduced, but still thinks the punishment should be reduced more or eliminated. Kaplan is not involved with the Hearthstone team, but is the first top-level Blizzard developer to speak openly about reverting Blitzchung's suspension, according to the Washington Post. Quote, I'm obviously a huge supporter of free speech, Kaplan said. It's something that's very important to me. It got to me personally. I think the punishment was too harsh, and I was greatly relieved when they gave his money back. I think that was extremely important. Kaplan told the Washington Post that there are many differing opinions among the Overwatch team regarding Blitzchung's suspension. Blitzchung's suspension has already drawn the attention of U.S. lawmakers in October. Senator Ron Wyden from Oregon, Marco Rubio from Florida, and Reps Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez from New York and Mike Gallagher from Wyoming and Tom Malinowski from New Jersey wrote an open letter urging Blizzard to reconsider the penalty. Quote, Your company hold on. Quote,
I was going to throw in there that also Arizona and New Mexico were also in on that same thing.
Okay, and to be fair, this was posted at 6:14 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which puts that at 3 in the afternoon when this article was written. But these individuals wrote a letter saying, Your company claims to stand by one's right to express individual thoughts and opinions, yet many of your own employees believe that Activision Blizzard's decision to punish Mr. Chung runs counter to those values, the lawmakers wrote. Blitzchung is suspended from all Hearthstone esports events until next year. For now, he's got the backing of esports organization Tempo Storm. Blitzchung joined the team on October 31st, days before BlizzCon. Tempo Storm CEO Andrei Yanyuk said Blitzchung exemplifies what Tempo Storm believes in. Quote, I had been thinking about whether to continue my Hearthstone career in the past few weeks, Blitzchung said in a statement. Since I haven't reached my professional goals yet, and I don't want to fall by the wayside, I will start competing again after I am unbanned. End quote. So that's the state of some big names, what they think, what they thought, and I'm falling into the idea that what you said, Nick, especially with those official rules, them jumping the gun to the very final beatdown versus like giving him some warnings. And we can go back to my whole statement where I think the company NetEase that is heavily paying for and supporting a lot of Blizzard content probably placed a little weight on them in trying to shut down Blitzchung on his statements. So a lot of mess between these two ideas of what's been going on. I don't know how much more you guys want to say. I think all of us are in agreement that he was wrongly treated. And I think, tell me if I'm wrong, you guys agree that Blizzard must have had a lot of pressure to shut him down as quickly as they did?
Yeah. Blizzard's president, J. Allen Brack, made a statement at BlizzCon. One of the parts that stood out to me was a specific. Brack said, the specific views expressed by Blitzchung were not a factor in the decision we made. I want to be clear, our relationship in China had no influence on our decision. I don't agree, and I don't think anyone else believes the line they're feeding us. Tencent is the largest Chinese game publisher and owns 5% stake in all Activision Blizzard choices in.
So Tencent, not NetEase, are they two separate entities?
They're both separate entities that own stakes into Blizzard.
Yeah, they
over 30% of the company is owned by China.
Yikes!
Sorry, go ahead, Lynn.
No, you're affirming my statements from earlier that Tencent and NetEase own Blizzard, which kind of sucks.
They affect what Blizzard does.
Yeah, they really dictate what they have and say as far as social commentary on this world.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately Blizzard can say, here's our mission statement, here's what our goals are. But if they don't align with what their investors believe in, then what you're saying on, or what you're seeing on the Chinese Twitter account for Blizzard is that it doesn't align at all. Because if you look what the US Blizzard account says and you look what the Chinese Blizzard account says, they're two contradicting statements. and the one that's put out by the Chinese Twitter account says that they're not okay with what Blitzchung said, and they don't plan on anyone ever stating what they said towards or against the Chinese government ever again, and they will punish them to the full extent. But then you get the US Blizzard Twitter account that says something completely different, that, we have this global idea that everyone is open to say what is free to them and what have you.
Mm-hmm.
But you look at it and you kind of go to the Chinese Twitter account and you see that they say that the majority of China is upset or offended by what they had to say. But then you go to look and you say, well, who in China has access to Twitter? And it's the government.
Only the government.
No one in China actually has access to Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook in China. How is anybody upset by something that was said on Twitter?
Man, not to take anything down any other roads, but that sounds almost as extreme as freaking North Korea.
Mm-hmm.
It is. It's along those lines. There's a censorship line that says that certain people can't see certain aspects of what everyone else can see. And if it doesn't align with our views, then you can't see it. That's kind of how it rolls.
The thing about this is other companies are seeing what's happening here, and they're calling Blizzard out on it. Epic Games spokesperson told The Verge, Epic supports everyone's right to express their views on politics and human rights. We would never ban or punish a Fortnite player or content creator for speaking on these topics.
Like, I don't. I mean, Blizzard, just like one final, I guess, one, for me, just one final, like, devil's advocate statement to make is that, truthfully, until they got into bed, essentially, with China, like, two huge gaming companies, NetEase and Tencent, prior to them getting in bed with them, like, I think Blizzard was doing really great up to that point, and I feel really bad for not the corporates. I feel really bad for the developers, the coders, the game designers that work for Blizzard, who have to go home every day to their wife and kids and just kind of throw their heads into their palms with frustration and trying to figure out, like, where are they going to work next, if this doesn't, like, settle itself out. um Guys, I hate to do this. I will Those are my concluding thoughts. I guess I will let you guys wrap up, but
I had another tangent to go down, but I can avoid that because
What
we're
are
talking
you
about Blizzard,
doing?
but it's more widespread than just Blizzard.
What is it? Here,
give the
give me
spiel so
a.
Lynn
What
knows what
is?
he's in for. What is it?
Well, me and him have already talked about it a little bit. Hollywood bowing down to Blizzard, Apple bowing
Oh,
down to Blizzard, NBA bowing down. I mean, not Blizzard. Sorry. Apple bowing down to China,
China.
NBA bowing down to China, Hollywood, Marvel, Disney, all of it.
Right.
Yeah, to sum it up, it's just a matter that game industries need to get back to the time where they put gamers first, and it wasn't all about the investors and how much more money they can get out of their investors.
Right.
This gaming industry is only going to survive if we all band together. In a hot political uh, environment where everyone's blaming games for this or that or everything else, to have the game developing companies not back us when we're playing our games, their games,
Yep.
is a slap in the face. Yeah, the investors help with money because they want to make more money, but the players are the ones that play it, and those companies would be nowhere without us.
It's a very true reality that hopefully they can grasp at some point in the future. And hopefully, with any luck, that this outcry from the fan base will rewire a couple aspects at Blizzard. Not holding my breath for it, but every company learns in some degree or another from mistakes they've made. Uh, and I mean, there's a few really good examples of companies that have crazy, massively done a 180 on what they thought they could get away with versus what their fans hoped for. You know, I mean, to pull it out of the political social sphere, I mean, it's still social at the end of the day when gamers are crying out over something they care about. But, like, companies like, for instance, the development of No Man's Sky came to an astounding failure, and a year later the company stuck with it, kept pushing to try to bring back their players to an idea of hope for what a company can do with a franchise. That's a tangent that may be left best for a different topic, but on that similar notion, we've seen other companies correct their vehement money grabbing mistakes and realized that the only reason they are around is because of their fan base. And I hope that although there are some heavy headed investors that are currently latched on to Blizzard. I hope Blizzard can manage somehow to work out their way out from under this rock that they have placed themselves under. In conclusion.
Me too. I was excited for Diablo 4.
Way to bring that up at the very tail end, sir. I have no energy to talk about it right now, but it's still really far away from being released. So me and Lynn will bring it up next week when we have more positive things to talk about. Guys, usually we try to spin things in an excited, more positive way when it comes to news. This is kind of just a particular topic that we felt the need to weigh in on for the gamer. Hopefully you guys can understand that, and hopefully you guys can look forward to our very next episode where we will hype up the next gen, things coming and things just released, because I think there's quite a bit of gaming stuff we can talk about next week for sure. Me and Lynn have extensively covered TV streaming. I was a little late on the last episode, but this episode and last will be coming out virtually in the same week. So enjoy a double episode this week, guys. If do you guys have anything else you say, or are we cool to wrap up? Lynn's ready. You ready, Nick?
I'm cool to wrap up.
Alright, I got the thumbs up from my very tired co-host as we have...
Oh, I'm not tired. I'm going to go upstairs and play some Destiny 2.
Oh, why'd you gotta say that, dude? I'm kidding. Well, we are over 4 hours in total conversation here. Peel back the curtains. That will not be the length of this episode, I promise.
I hope not.
Guys, hit us up on social. Check out our website, nerdentialsmedia.com. As we mentioned up at the front of the episode, we thank you if you've made it to the end. This has been your Nerdy Essentials Nerds. For me, Nick, and Lynn, we will see you all on the other side. I know I tackled that a little weird at first, guys, but I appreciate the follow through.